Breaking news. The Phoenix Suns signed Tyus Jones. That's right, baby. It is an emergency pod brought to you by our friends over at Indeed. Listeners of the show, you're going to get $75 worth of sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. That's Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Gentlemen, the Phoenix Suns needed to hire. And damn, did they recruit well. They got a starting point guard. And yeah, I said starting, and we're going to talk about it. In Tyus Jones, obviously with the Wizards last year, has a wealth of experience in the league. Before we get started, is the PHNX Sun Show. I'm Espo. That's Flex. And that is Eric, usually behind the Mac, but I brought him in today because we got something to talk about. And just because you thought you were going to get a weekend doesn't mean that we do. Gentlemen, Flex, let's start with you. What were your initial thoughts on the Tyus Jones signing?
Listen, Eric is sitting right there. I knew all week something really big potentially could be in the works. The Suns did a really good job. I'm going to say this. Suns did a really good job of keeping this under wraps because they knew who they were dealing with. They didn't want too many things to leak out. But this is a machine, brother. The Phoenix Suns are a machine when it comes to culture, recruiting, and getting people they want to come to Phoenix when people think it's impossible, right? When we came into this offseason, the first thing you heard about Tyus Jones was there's no way he can end up in Phoenix. Check him off your list, $15 million a year. He's a starting point guard. There's no way the Suns can pull this off, which sounds familiar. It sounds like the last 3 summers the Phoenix Suns have had. So once again, Matt Ishbia and the crew to show you why talent, evaluation, chemistry, continuity, culture, destination matters. The Phoenix Suns just got one of the best point guards in the entire National Basketball Association. And we'll talk about how that fits and how they'll go about integrating it. But yeah, you gotta be excited, man, playing chess, not checkers.
Yeah, listen, it's so funny because you kind of think back to the new CBA and you're like, oh my gosh, just as the Suns get an owner that's going to spend money, now there's all these rules. If anything, it's kind of helping out the Suns now because you look at Monte Morris and Tyus Jones. Those are guys that under the old CBA would get like a higher, not veteran minimum contract, something the Suns could not really afford to offer. But now they're both coming here on prove-it deals, and even in Tyus Jones' statement saying, oh, I'm going to hit free agency next year, and I'm going to try to get my bag. So somehow, some way, Matt Ishbia, the Phoenix Suns, James Jones have all found a way to win when it kind of felt like it was the classic Suns, like, now we can spend money and now it's illegal to spend money. But that second apron doesn't even exist in Matt Ishbia's eyes. And that's not even talking about the basketball fit. Another assist to turnover ratio guy, somebody else who's going to protect the ball, who's going to help unlock Nurk, help unlock Mason Plumlee. Book is going to play off ball. Beal's going to play off ball. It's so exciting, Espo.
Look, he was easily the best point guard on the market, right? And we thought there's not a chance in hell that the Suns will get in on Tyus Jones. They just won't be able to afford him, right? And we saw the market, and the Suns went out. They got Monte Morris, who we all thought was a great signing for the bench. And then you thought, okay, well, they got Mason, they got Monte, they've solidified some spots. We can probably expect, unless they make some kind of trade, that this is it. And that's good. Great offseason for the most part when you add in the draft picks. And then you just watch the market kind of just stand still. We have not seen much of anything over the last couple of weeks. And there was guys like Tyus Jones, Chetty Osmond, other guys that are sitting out there that you thought would go for a decent amount of money, and they didn't. They've just sat there. Yeah. And I even said yesterday on the show, Flex, to you, I was like, well, could this trade of David Roddy yesterday be a Tyus Jones kind of thing? Yeah. Based on nothing other than you're looking at the market, you're reading the tea leaves, and you go, this team can still use another guard if they can find one. And it happened today, and it happened quick. And you brought up, Eric, assist to turnovers. Jones had an assist to turnover ratio last year of 7.35, the highest of any player in a season since individual turnovers were first tracked in 1977-78. And in that span, Jones has had 3 of the highest marks in a season at 7.04. 6.96, and then last year at 7.35. So you've got Tyus Jones, who's an assist to turnover master. You got Monte Morris, who's an assist to turnover master. And look, guys, what was one of the biggest problems for this team last year?
Turnovers.
And
no
then,
point guard play.
Yeah. I mean, and you look at it, they figured that out. They solidified the bench, and we'll get into what the rotations may look like here in a second. But this is if you don't think this is an A+ offseason, I don't know what to tell you. Out there on the internet, I don't care what team you're a fan of. You got to look at what the Suns did and say they got a hell of a lot better.
Yeah. Let's talk. My man Joe Mama in the chat. Joe Mama in the chat says Flex gassing him up a little too much. Let me talk to you, Joe Mama. Okay, Espo just broke it down. I literally just said he's one of the best point guards in the entire National Basketball Association. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. 7.3 to 1 assist to turnover ratio. When you think, a lot of people think point guards and they're like, oh, you got all these flashy stats. That's what a point guard stats are supposed to look like. A point guard sets the team up, gets you in your offense, and has a high assist to turnover ratio. And this guy is doing it at an all-time high level. So yes, the Phoenix Suns for $3.3 million might have gotten the best pure point guard in the NBA in regards to assist to turnover ratio. And the best time to get a job, the best time to get a job is when you have a job, right? The Suns were brilliant in the sense, this is facts, right? If you need a job and you got a job, you're going. The great part about this was that the Suns knew the market was going to dry out. I'm on the phone right now talking to an agent that I trust, and I actually spoke to this person in Vegas, and we talked about Tyus in Vegas, and his exact words were, the market's going to dry out, Flex, and there aren't too many landing spots, okay? And so the Suns were smart by saying, let's get Monty and locked in. So we know at the very least we got a guy. Right? We got a guy that's going to do what we need to do. And then at that point, we can be super aggressive, but not desperate, and put ourselves in a situation where we can land a guy like Tyus Jones. So once again, you can say what you want about James Jones, Matt Ishby, and how they go about business, man, but this is some bad boys moving silence type stuff.
And I think part of the reason why people are a little bit shocked when they hear the term, one of the best point guards in the game. I think sometimes you can conflate being a really good player versus playing a position really well. Somebody can be one of the best shooters in the league, but not one of the best players. Look at Buddy Hield, right? One of the best shooters probably of all time, but everything else in his game is lacking a little bit. So you don't really put him on that same pedestal. With Tyus Jones, he shoots efficiently. He passes efficiently. He's a little bit undersized, but he would probably be, as far as starting point guards go, in the 20 to 30 range. But everything that he does is so perfect for the Phoenix Suns, and it's exactly what they need. You don't want a point guard that comes in and takes a bunch of shots. You want somebody who can hit shots efficiently, but look to pass the ball and do it the smart way. And like you said, Flex, they got two of them, and they did it in a way where now every time one of them's on the court, in a healthy way, they're competing with each other, because both of those guys are going to hit the same market next year, and they don't want vet mins. So, and if you want to talk about the value of Tyus Jones, what paints the picture, Espo, is the fact that out of all these free agent signings, he gets a full statement, right? It wasn't just Tyus Jones signing with the Phoenix Suns on a veteran minimum. It was, we needed to explain why somebody who brings this type of value would sign for the lowest possible contract available.
Tyus went out of his way to explain it himself. Yeah, Woj gave that whole quote graphic to ESPN, which we'll bring up in a second. But let's bring up his stats from last year for those of you that aren't familiar with his game. To steal a Shaq quote, last year, 12 points per game, 7.3 assists, 2.7 rebounds on 48.9% shooting. Oh, and he can hit from behind the arc too. He's a 41.4% shooter from deep also last season with the Wizards. This is a guy that for years was kind of known as one of the best backup point guards in the game, got the opportunity to start, and then now just had the best assist to turnover ratio in the history of the game. So, I think they got a pure point guard. And for a lot of the offseason, I like to say this phrase, you have Nordstrom taste, but only $1 store budget, right? Well, guess what? The Suns just robbed Nordstrom. All right.
Yeah.
They said, you know what? We'll leave the $1.50 we got, but we're going to take the expensive piece of clothing that you've got in the store. And look, this is exactly what this team needed. Nobody thought they were going to be able to get. And I'm sorry, but when you look at it, this seismically changes the way that the West looks now. I mean, this seismically changes all of that, and I bet it significantly will change the odds as well. Suns were a plus 3,000 to win it all. They were, I think, a plus 1,500 at our friends over at Bet365 to win the West. I got to check in, but I'm guessing those odds are going to shift significantly as well because they have gotten much better. No longer can you say the Suns don't have a point guard. They got 2 point guards in this roster now.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I'm looking at the chat, and they're saying I wouldn't say robbed. It's a 1-year deal. No, it's a robbery. I'm talking to an agent right now that's telling me Tyus Jones is a $15 million point guard in the NBA. Now, let me put some context behind this. I'm actually reading texts while we're doing this show right here, okay? And there's people going to say, well, if he's a $15 million point guard, why did he get $3.3 million? You know why? Because Tyus Jones understands situation, understands that he could have gotten that $15 million, but he's probably worth more with the new salary cap going up and the way the CBA is changing. And he wants to win. This is a guy that actually turned down more money for an opportunity to bet on himself and win basketball games. I promise you guys, read the information that's out there. Don't take my word for it. Tyus Jones could have gotten a lot more money to lose, and he didn't do that. Culture, where you want to be, destination. This is why I keep telling people the Phoenix Suns are in this situation, but don't get lost. Don't let it get lost in the sauce. The right people are in charge now, and this is going to become more common than people think.
All right. I'm sorry to step in, Eric. I just saw this chat and I want to read it. Joe Mama says, good move, great fit, but he's an average point guard in the NBA. If you're looking at scoring, sure. But if you're looking at pure point guard and the issues that the Suns had last year, again, best assist to turnover ratio in the history of the NBA. And he has 3 of the top all time on that list. This is a team that needed a guy to pass the ball to their stars, to get guys open looks, to help stop the bleeding when turnovers cost them, 5 to 10 games last year?
Yeah.
And I'm not exaggerating, on a team that won 49. Like, that alone has a huge impact. And maybe if you're just looking at, scoring point guards or whatever, sure, maybe you could say he's just average. But when you're looking at true point guard, a guy that's going to pass the rock that this team needed, much better across the league. And I think you're right, Flex. This guy in last year's NBA, the old CBA, like Eric brought up, I think probably could have gotten 15,
20,
to 17 a year, easy. For a team that was trying to fill a void like that. But there's just no middle class in the NBA anymore. There's not a $17, $20 million range anymore because this new CBA and the second apron just killed it off. Right, Eric?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, and that's why if you look at just kind of Matt Ishbia in general, I know he's gotten a lot of flack about, pedal to the metal. He's come in and he's changed a lot and he's done a lot. But the way that he approaches running an organization and truly going out there and backing up his word, this is just setting the foundation for every single year there's somebody that goes under contract value. It's just the way that it works. And if you look at Phoenix, a fantastic place to live, superstars, and guys that can fit into the role, now a great coach, a championship level coach of the year level, and organizationally, even on the back end for guys not like Tyus Jones, but maybe younger guys who need development, now their G League is getting all this investment as well. From top to bottom, this organization is the one that other organizations want to be. And if somebody needs to get a bag and they want to be surrounded in a good situation, they're going to come here and they're going to love their time here. because you're going to play with everybody's favorite superstar in Devin Booker, everybody's idol in Kevin Durant, a 30-point, somebody who averaged 30 in back-to-back seasons in Bradley Beal, one of the best three-point shooters last season in Grayson Allen, and not to mention Royce O'Neal, Bol, Monte Morris, Mason Plumlee. They've shored up all their holes coming off of an extremely disappointing season. And even on the court, Michael Ramirez in the chat a while ago, I flashed up the comment, talked about how when John Morant went down for the Grizzlies, Tyus Jones stepped in, and it was like, they haven't missed a beat. They're 21-2.
Yeah, 21-2. Like
they went crazy. And think about the difference in offensive talent surrounding Tyus here versus in Memphis. And if you want to have a defensive conversation, I do think that's understandable. Is Book playing the three? Is Tyus a little undersized? He's a good defender. He's a little smaller. Is Nurk the right guy in the back? But at the end of the day, if you're scoring at the level that on paper this team can now score, and you're not turning the ball over, which is like just defensive disaster, you are shoring up so many problems from before that you already had a good defense with most of this roster already. Like the weaknesses are shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And to be honest, though, like so are the excuses now. Like you're going into the season, Flex, and you're looking at every problem from last year. You're like, okay, that's shored up. Coach is shored up. Guard is shored up. Backup big is shored up. It's on the line now.
It's all in. It's all in.
Yeah. Listen. You nailed it. First of all, we talked about this ad nauseum all season long, guys. What was our problem? Turnovers. Okay, check. You get two of the best in the world, in the National Basketball Association at that. So I don't think there's a team right now that can say they have two better actual pure point guards, assist to turnover ratio wise than the Phoenix Suns. Okay, check. By the way, both those guys can shoot 40% from threes. We need to shoot more threes and make more threes. Okay, we got that. We didn't have point of attack defenders and people that put defense in, and that's we got two young guys in Dunn now and Iguodaro that kind of fit that role. You got Mason Plumlee in as your backup point guard over Drew Eubank. I mean, Frank didn't have the continuity and the control of the locker. You got the championship coach in Budenholzer now. So you're starting this. Go ahead, Espo.
I was going to say, point Book and point Beal don't work. Well, guess what? You don't have to use them there anymore.
Don't have to use them there anymore. So, I'll say this about Monty and Tyus, right? I know this is about Tyus, but they kind of play hand in hand, okay? Mm-hmm. I'll say this about Monty. On the show, when we got Monty, I shout out Priority Sports, his agency, for doing that move, because I said, I look at a guy like Grayson now and I say, he probably looked at Grayson and said, look, this guy in 6 months changed the entire landscape of his basketball future. Got $70 million. I can go to Phoenix and have a good year and do what I've done and potentially hit the market again and get paid. You know who I look at when I think at Tyus Jones right now? I'm looking at you, Oklahoma City. I'm looking at Isaiah Hartenstein. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at Tyus Jones is sitting here licking his chops like, Isaiah Hartenstein was a minimum guy and took the Knicks on a second round run and got $87 million. So Tyus is a smart kid who, by the way, I know for a fact has been on the radar of the Phoenix Suns, and the Suns have been on his radar for quite some time. And in this business, I got to say this, guys, in this business, when teams have a target for or have an eye for a player, or a player has an eye for a franchise, sometimes it takes weird opportunities and things to shake out the right way. But most times they end up working out. This was years of interest, and this was one of those situations where Tyus is like, you know what, man, this has been lurking in the background for quite some time. It's time to do it. If not now, when? Like, let's get it done and let's get paid and let's win some basketball games. And do some good things. So I'm thrilled, and I keep telling people, man, the Phoenix Suns are going to do this very consistently going forward because of the culture they built.
Yeah, and I think also something that's lost in how great Tyus Jones is, how great Monte Morris can be. And I think we put Tyus above that again just because of what he did last season. Monte was injured, but if you look at how Monte Morris plays, it's very similar to how Tyus Jones played. But there was another comment in the chat that says, well, point Book actually worked. It was really good. Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing. That's still an option. Bradley Beal, still an option. If you are lacking your scoring punch or you need some more size up front, those are still very viable. And turnovers really hurt this team. I mean, how many close games did they lose in the fourth quarter where they probably could have won about 10? If we're being realistic, if just a couple turnovers changed and they just played more cohesively, they probably could have won about 10 more games. That's how close it was in the fourth quarter. But here's the thing nobody's talking about. Taking miles off of your stars. Yeah. You have Tyus Jones and Monte Morris as guards who can control the offense, and now you don't have to run absolutely everything on a random Thursday night in the middle of February through Devin Booker or Bradley Beal, or knock on wood, one of them gets injured. You're now not looking at Devin Booker and saying, well, now you have to be the point guard and the shooting guard and the small forward and the defensive guy, and you can't turn the ball over, and you have to get Kevin Durant in a rhythm. There's so many things that across an 82-game season, having one of those guys was going to shore up. Now you have two. And not to mention now Mason Plumlee off the bench. He's a good connector. He's a good passer. Yusuf Nurkic, very good passer for a center. Grayson Allen had, 13, 14 assists in a game last year? You're looking at what should be the best ball movement team in the NBA.
That's right.
You have Devin Booker who can get close to double-digit assists per game. Tyus Jones, who can get close to double-digit assists per game. Monte Morris, one of the best in assist-to-turnover ratio. Kevin Durant can pass. Grayson, that is going to unlock so much and take so many miles off of a team that injuries is always going to be a concern no matter what. But especially with this team and the lack of time they had to play last year, Espo, together, that just means so much.
Well, they needed to get younger too. When you look at it, both of these guys are in their late 20s. They're not. This isn't signing Kyle Lowry, right? This isn't signing a guy who was good that's on the back half of their career, right? These are two guys that still have a lot left in the tank and have a lot left to prove. So they're motivated to do it. Young Listen Lives views from my shoes. That's a hell of a long lives in the chat says those in the chat minimizing the signing are suffering from Suns fan PTSD. Allow them some grace. We are afraid of hope, and this looks like a ton of hope. I think that is a very fair point. And look, the Suns have been looking to hire a point guard, right? Looking to hire some additional help. They didn't have to use Indeed because, they've got agents and people that are trying to get these players a job. But if you're looking for a job or you're an employer looking to land somebody for a job, Indeed is where you need to go because they're driven by the search for better. And when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search. Match with Indeed. We used it recently for a hiring, and we've gotten some of the best candidates we've ever seen. And that's because according to Indeed data, they have 350 million global monthly visitors, right? That means a lot of people looking for jobs, but you're not just going to get a bunch of resumes that don't make sense with you. The way Indeed works is they find people with talent that match the criteria of what you're looking for, and they do it fast. You're going to get to ditch the busy work, and you can use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of the employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites. So if you haven't done it and you're looking to hire or you're looking for a job, head over to Indeed.com. They're going to help you find one, we promise. And listeners of the show, you're going to get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast at Indeed.com/AllCity if I hadn't said it enough already. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. And as you can tell, it is a Saturday, but I didn't go from my home studio because I happened to be out on the West Valley at an event we had, was driving, the news broke, and I happened to be right near the offices, the studios. And I thought, you know what? Studio K is such a beautiful damn studio. I'm not going to bother going all the way home. I'm going to stop and I'm going to sit right here in this fantastic studio. So we're in Studio K, brought to you by our friends at Circle K, and they are America's thirst stop. They are fantastic. I get my gas there. I stopped this morning. I had a special 25-cent off offer that I got. So I got 25 cents off each gallon of gas that I put in. So 9 gallons of gas, you can do the math. I saved some cash today, and it was nice. And I did that because I was part of their Inner Circle membership. It is a free membership program just for you. When you sign up, when you download the Circle K app, you're going to get 25 cents off your first 5 fill-ups. After that, you're going to get 3 cents off your fill-ups from that point on. And once you reach that ESPO level, it takes a little while. You can't be as good as me right out the gates. You can get 5 cents off every gallon after that. And right now, and you're going to get a Polar Popper Froster for 79 cents. No, any of you out there, you don't have to sign up for Inner Circle for this. But if you sign up for the Inner Circle, you're going to get it for 69 cents.
Nice.
Thank you, Flex. When I'm not available to do it, you're always there. So make sure to download the app and sign up today. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading that Circle K app. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. We mentioned Tyus Jones had a statement that he provided to Adrian Wojnarowski that came out basically right as the news happened. And he said, quote, "The chance to play for the Phoenix Suns made the most sense on a lot of levels to me and my family, beginning with the way Governor Matt Ishbia and the front office recruited me to how Coach Mike Budenholzer showed me how I can significantly impact a team that has a real opportunity to challenge for an NBA title as their starting point guard." Quote, Jones told ESPN. He said, "My agent, Kevin Bradbury, walked me and my family through multiple free agent offers and sign and trade proposals at a number of financial levels, but the Suns' opportunity is where I can best maximize my value for a return to free agency next year, as well as give myself a chance to be part of what I think will be a special team and a special season," end quote. So Tyus Jones said a couple things there, acknowledged Matt Ishbia and his impact, acknowledged Mike Budenholzer and walking him through what the offense looked like. But I think obviously the most impactful thing that he said was his starting point guard.
Yes. So you listen, in order to get this guy to give up that much money, because he had options, he clearly said that, and I've checked with my agent connections. He had options. Now those options were not great for Tyus. He wasn't going to win many basketball games, and this guy wants to win basketball games and wants to be successful. So I will say this: he's a starting point guard in the NBA. Everybody knows it. Okay, so Tyus is coming here to be a starting point guard, and that's a fantastic thing. Now I see the chat and I see people saying, "Well, it's only a 1-year deal. We got to relax. He's going to leave. There's no way to keep him." Here's the thing, guys. We're not, you have to worry about what's in front of you. Okay. Let's take it one day at a time, one game at a time. Here's the thing. If it doesn't work out, Tyus Jones hits the market next year. If it doesn't work out as a team, I'm sure it's going to work out as a player and he's going to be compensated. But if it does work out as a team and Tyus Jones gets us to, again, championship level competition and potentially a chance to play for an NBA title, you do that 100 out of 100 times and don't worry about if he's going to be here next year. Okay. You take the crack and you let that cookie crumble. And then if the guy has a ring on his finger, peace out. If you want more money, brother, you earned it. That's how I'm looking at it. And guess what? That shiny little ring has a way of changing your mind in some places too. So let's not overreact here.
Well, and that's the thing. If he hits the open market next year and he's demanding an insane amount of money, what happened here?
That means we won.
Exactly. And at least for himself, if he goes out and gets a really big contract, it means that he overplayed his value right here, right now, tremendously. And if he doesn't, for whatever reason, maybe the Suns can retain him on a longer, cheaper deal. Obviously, you would still prefer the first thing to happen. Listen, when you're in the position the Suns are in, with the amount of money that you have tied up to your superstars, you aren't going to have the luxury of locking in every single role player to long and controlled deals. You need to take 1-year risks. And to be the place where somebody like Tyus Jones will come here, You mentioned Grayson Allen flex, how he came here and he upped his value. Bull is going to come here another season under Mike Budenholzer. He might bump his value up. Royce O'Neal got a good contract.
Exactly.
Anybody who's in a similar position going forward is going to want to be here, Espo. And then you add on top of that, everybody loves Devin Booker. Everybody wants to play with Devin Booker. And it's a two-way street. How do you keep Devin Booker happy, Espo?
By bringing in quality players.
There you go.
And quality players that can get him open looks.
And take the pressure off of him. And I know a lot of people are not high on Point Book in the chat, and they're like, oh, Point Book didn't work. Look at his stats from last season, man. It worked, right? It
Top
worked.
10 assist guy, man.
And you still have that as an option. But
and top 10 scoring, too.
And you look at him in FIBA, and he knows how to play any sort of role possible.
Yes.
The most malleable star in a very long time in Devin Booker. Espo, this just kind of sets the scene for, I know we're talking about right now, but listen, 2026, 27, 28, 29, 30, all these like thoughts about second apron and tax and whatever. This can be a pattern, and I would expect for it to be a pattern for as long as Devin Booker and Matt Ishbia are here.
The next 11 months are all that matter right in front of you right now. I don't care if Monte and Tyus Jones leave next year. You were all in on this year. And last year we said it's a 2 or 3 year window, right? Well, they maximized that second year to the best of their ability, found ways to creatively get there, even though they were limited in every possible way. Plus, guess what? They got second round picks, so they're optimized to make another move, whether it's before the season or at the deadline, that they can make as well if there's still holes. What I'm concerned about now is with Tyus Jones stating that, and that he's a starting point guard now for the Phoenix Suns. What does that starting lineup look like, right? I know there's reports that it's going to be Grayson Allen that goes to the bench. Obviously, I think that's one move that we kind of thought might happen anyways this year. But are we really thinking that the Suns will go with Tyus Jones, who's 6'1", with Bradley Beal, that's 6'4", with Devin Booker, that's 6'6", and then Kevin Durant, obviously, at 6'11" or 7'3", whatever the hell he actually is, and Yusuf Nurkic there at 7 foot. Are they too small if you go Jones, Beal, Book in that in those first 3 spots there?
Now I'm gonna answer this. Okay. First things first, the coach in me is saying I see why people would say that. The coach in me is also saying this is part of the basketball. Like, this lineup will be on the court at some point. I don't give a damn if it's starting in the middle of a game or closing the game. It isn't like your starting lineup is all you can play during the game. Okay. So you go out there, and guess what? For a couple minutes, if you have a small forward, yeah, I can put Book on him for a couple minutes. I can slide Book to the 3 on defense. Why not? He's 6'6", he's strong, he's 210. Why can't I put Book on a small forward from time to time and let those guards handle it in spurts? It ain't who starts, it's who finishes. You got so many options now to play so many different lineups. If that's the lineup you run out, and that lineup is showing you that in that particular game you're too small and you have to make an adjustment, you make a damn adjustment. Like, that's just it. Like, I don't get this whole they're too small. No, it doesn't work that way, guys. You make the adjustments.
So everybody keeps saying Royce O'Neal. Royce O'Neal's listed at 6'4".
Right.
Like, he's not a big.
He just plays bigger. He plays bigger. And the same thing, Grayson Allen. Grayson Allen is not your lockdown stud defensive 3. So what do you want, Josh Okogie? You don't want Josh Okogie in the starting lineup, and I love Josh Okogie, but you don't want him in the starting lineup.
I actually think we saw Bradley Beal guard big guys, right?
D3, yeah.
Like, maybe Brad even takes on some of that, but I don't think this is a defensive thing, right? I think you look at this, and Mike Budenholzer, what's his specialty? Offense, right, Eric? I mean, to me, this is all about getting the offense working in a way that they hoped that they would be able to. Last year, they had a defensive head coach. And I know there were all sorts of issues with the offense, but now you got an offensive head coach and you got him the horses to run it. I think that you can forego size at times to try to make that offense work, score more. That's what the name of the game is.
And what did we see 2 playoffs ago? We saw Devin Booker absolutely just lock it on defense, steals, blocks, like guarding guys that are bigger than him, right? Even when you go up against Denver, what do you see from him in FIBA? He does everything, including the dirty work, including defending.
Yeah.
And what I mentioned earlier, you're going to take a lot off of his plate offensively. He's going to have that time and that energy. Hell, you mentioned Bradley Beal, the game that sticks out to me from last season. They put him on Zion against the Pelicans.
Yeah.
And it worked. Listen, Kevin Durant could have at least been in the conversation or made an all-defensive team last year.
Should have been in the conversation.
Yusuf Nurkic way overplayed, I think, on defense and a lot of people's expectations. You want to talk about offense and everything else. I get it, different conversation, but now he has to do less. We went into last season saying, is Yusuf Nurkic the point guard of the Phoenix Suns? That was the conversation that was being had. Now he can focus on getting your field goal percentage up at the rim. A point guard helps with that. And defending. A point guard helps take away responsibility and do that. All these things can slide in and flex. What did the Golden State Warriors do when they had the death lineup? Did they start the death lineup?
No, tell me. Exactly. They didn't start the death lineup. But Eric, how did that lineup go? I mean, you had lineups of Steph Curry, Jordan Poole, and Klay Thompson. You had Dre at center. Where was your height? Where was your length? Where was all that other stuff?
Again, outscore. You don't have to play them the entire time, but outscore a team. And this team now can bring in a defensive lineup too.
Oh yeah, they could call
Royce O'Neal, Ryan Dunn, Josh Okogie. Like you can go on a run offensively, and then for a portion of the game, bring in defenders and slow down any run that happens. You have options now that you can turn to that you didn't have last year.
And I think
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, please. After you.
No. I was gonna say, like, turnovers are such an important part of basketball in general. And if you can lower your turnovers, and you will with these guys, you live with the issues on defense, because at the very least, the turnovers are going to keep possessions equal. And with this type of lineup and this type of team, if the possessions and shots are within range, the Phoenix Suns are going to pretty much have a good chance of beating anybody in basketball any given night. And so you go into the game. You know that old saying, you can't win a game in the first quarter, but you could damn sure lose it. Yep. Okay, that's what this is. This is them saying, we're going to put our best offensive lineup, guys that are cerebral, not going to turn the ball over, and not going to blow games. And then later in the game, when we've adjusted and we've kind of got the flow of the game and we kind of know what's going on, then you pull out the tricks. You're like, okay, now is when Ryan Dunn can go clamp this guy. Now is when Okogie can come in. So, yeah, I just think it's crazy to think that this can't work, or the lack of size is the problem. The Suns have size.
Yeah.
Go ahead, E. I'm sorry. I want to hear what you had to say.
So before we get too far away from the whole Warriors comparison, I think some people listen, Draymond is a generational defender. Brent Whitson in the chat talking about that. Klay, very good defender as well. Steph, really, really strong for his size. It's not a one-to-one comparison. The comparison is you had a team that did not start their best lineup and did lack in certain areas, and they still went on to win a chip. And you can even look at years before that as well, when they were starting a Zaza Pachulia or a Kevon Looney. That wasn't always what they ended with. And there's so many different options for this team and so many different ways that they can defend that, like Espo said, like turnovers and everything like that as well. You just start chipping away at what doesn't have to be a top 10 defense, because it should be a top 5 offense, right? And I also like Brent in the chat, everybody making really good points across multiple platforms. We have almost 1,400 people in here. Get those likes up. Tyus Jones is a Phoenix Sun. Make sure you subscribe. We're so close to 30,000 subscribers. That would make it the perfect weekend, right? You get Tyus Jones, and you get to 30K subs for PHNX Sports. So I just wanted to say that because chat's having a great week from the chat this week.
You know, go ahead, Espo, go ahead.
I was just to say, Gert Jr. said, and how did that work out last season? You said the same thing in terms of offense being better, or, you know, if you outscore a team, that's all you need to do. Well, guess what? This year is different because you have an offensive head coach, which means an offensive system. Like Kevin Durant said earlier this summer in an interview, there was way too much just standing around because that was the offensive system. That ain't happening under Mike Budenholzer. You're not going to have the turnovers anymore because you got Tyus Jones and Monte Morris. This is a different team. This is a team now built around the big three, but that can execute in ways that they couldn't last year with three-point shooters that aren't past their prime, Eric Gordon, and guys that can actually accomplish it. Look, you had Grayson Allen, who was one of the best three-point shooters in the league last year. You know, I had 2 point guards who shot over 40% the year before, and you're bringing back Damian Lee, who had led the league in three-point shooting in the year previous to his injury at one point. This is a team that now has even more offensive horses with a guy at the helm that knows how to run offenses. Then you bring in defensive-minded guys as well. Ryan Dunn, Josh Okogie still here. You have the option to go with a defensive mindset. If you think this is the same way that they did this last year, you are blind or ignorant. And I'm not saying that to you, Gert Jr. I'm just saying that in general to the people that are going to continue with the narrative that this is the same team. This team looked at its holes and has filled it better than anybody expected they were going to be able to. This offense will be a top 5 in the NBA the way this is. Now, I'm not going to say that they're automatically the champion in the league because they've done this. No, this is a damn tough Western Conference, and they could wind up being knocked out in the second round just because how difficult this conference is. But they have a hell of a better chance because of the team that they've built around Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal compared to where they were last year. And that's got to be taken into consideration. This bench is significantly better. The guys that will be playing around them are better. Grayson's got a full year here in Phoenix having played with them. There's a trust level there. This is a better basketball team than the Phoenix Suns saw last year.
This is what drives me crazy with some of these comments and stuff that you hear across the board, not only today, but just like all summer after the season ended. Man, this is not the same basketball team. Like, you could point to last year all you want. I'm done talking about last year. We have a different coach. We got a different coaching staff. We have an entirely different bench. Were we talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves this year? Were we worried about what happened last year?
No, were we talking about the Mavericks? What happened?
Exactly.
No. Were we talking about the Mavericks, what they did last year? No, we weren't. That's because when you flip the page, it's a whole new thing, man. And so I'm hearing a whole bunch of things. Suns don't have size. Well, they got Nurk, they got Plumlee, they got Bol. They got
Kevin Durant is 7'8".
KD was playing that position, no problem. So I don't know that you can say the Suns don't have size. And then in what I call the intermediate position, so you go from center to guards, right? But that little in between bunch, Ryan Dunn, 6'7", 7'1" wingspan. Royce O'Neal plays bigger than his frame, right?
Josh Okogie plays bigger than his frame.
Okogie plays bigger than his frame. So I can't say that the Suns don't have enough size. You talk about, ball control and point guard and backcourt depth. Now who's got a deeper backcourt than the Suns? So I'm going to give you a depth lineup right now, Eric. Eric Ruby,
please.
Espo. I'm going to tell you right now, if I were coaching the Suns next year, okay, and I think there's going to be times where the Suns are going to be so good offensively and so disciplined offensively that they're probably going to be a handful of games where they go up double digits and, 10, 15 range, right? You know what I'm doing right there? When the Suns go up 15 points in the game and you trying to put this game away, yeah, I'm going out there with Brad Beal, Tyus Jones, Devin Booker, Grayson Allen, and KD at the 5.
And just
that's
shoot.
What I'm doing. That basketball, like we're in a different. This isn't 90s basketball. Put KD at the 5 and put those 4 killers on the court, And you watch what happens. You watch how hard it's going to be for defenses to figure that out.
Yeah, this year is about not playing to what other people are doing, but forcing teams to play to what you're doing. They built last year's team with the pure hope of beating the Nuggets, and they admitted as much. This year's team they built saying, okay, Minnesota, you want to play the way you played? Good luck. Try to stop us because you're going to have to play to what we do. Denver, same thing. Look, this team has many options, different ways that they can go, and now have an identity offensively, I think, with Mike Budenholzer's system. This is a big deal that people aren't looking at. And as that review guy said in the chat, this team is now balanced. They were not balanced last year.
Yeah. It's completely different roster with somehow all the main pieces still there. And how many times did they lose a game because Eric Gordon was jump passing every time he touched the ball? or respectfully, you didn't have these options where it's like, we need to play Josh Okogie, but we don't have an offensive counterpart for Josh Okogie, right? Or we need to have a defensive stopper, but the person we need to stop is 6'8", 6'9". Now you have Ryan Dunn to throw in there as well. And for all the pessimists, for everybody who's like, you know what? I don't believe because Yusuf Nurkic is in a lockdown center because there's still this need that needs to be addressed. What the Suns have showed this offseason is that they are aware of what needs to be done, and they go out and they execute it. Matt Ishbia is not lying to you when he says he's going to do whatever it takes to win. If a problem arises with this team, they will make a trade before the trade deadline to address it.
Yes.
There's no reality where something stands out that's going to stop them from winning a championship, and they're just going to say, I don't care. That's not going to happen. That's not how this team has proven over this offseason that they operate, Flex.
Yeah, they've reconstructed the entire team top to bottom. And I keep saying the biggest you see, the reason why I think the Suns are going to be very good next year, and Espo, you talked about this numerous times over the last couple of weeks, how you're confident and you feel like this could be a 55-win team, and I'm with you. I believe this team is going to be significantly better than last year. And the weird thing is, I don't even know if it's significant. They win 6 more games. They have 6 more games we're talking about, right? So is that really significant? I don't know, but I think they can be a 55-win team. Here's the thing, Espo. I keep saying this. The best thing for the Phoenix Suns this year is that they finally were able last year to actually look at what they had. Like, you got to remember, this is completely lost on people. The Phoenix Suns last year didn't even know what Kevin, Devin, and Brad looked like together.
Yep.
There's no hindsight. That was an experiment that they still had to figure out. Well, we got that out the way. You got a whole season to figure out, okay, this is how Devin, Brad, and KD work together. This is what they're good at. This is what they're not good at. These are the strengths. These are the weaknesses. Okay, hindsight being 2020, we could have used a better point guard. Check. Hindsight being 2020, we could have had a better backup center. Check. Hindsight, come on, man.
Look at the bench. Monte Morris, Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, Mason Plumlee, one of the starters. When you all of a sudden you have a very quality bench, and your third string ain't anything to sneeze at either.
Hey, Eric, before you go ahead, I want to ask you a question before you say what you're going to say.
Okay.
I got a $100,000 Range Rover in my garage. I'm selling it for 20 bands. I'm selling it for 20 bands. You interested?
Yeah, sure. Can you spot me 20 bands?
I got you. Yeah, we'll finance it. We'll find it. That's what the fuck we just did today. I'm serious. You got a $100,000 Range Rover outside, and somebody gave it to you for $20,000, and you're gonna complain?
And maybe I'll flip it next summer. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll flip it for some more. Maybe I'll sell it for 65 next summer, and then I make a profit, right? And I only get to drive it for a year, but I still flip it, and I still make the money. No, but listen, even to what you guys said, what was another complaint? They don't have any young guys. Who are they going to draft? Who's going to develop?
Yeah.
They got 2 young guys that could actually break the rotation this year, plus a 2-way guy in Jalen Bridges. Right, exactly. Right. What else, right? What else? Right. This defensive system isn't working. Frank Vogel doesn't have the locker room. Guess what? You are now paying another coach out. You now fired somebody who had multiple years left on a 5-year contract. After 1 season, you say, get out the door, and we're going to bring in somebody else with a completely different philosophy. and also somebody who genuinely believes in this team and this city. And if you don't think that makes a difference when you are pitching guys, like, listen, I cover ASU. I do it every single day. When you talk to these players and they talk to somebody who actually cares about where they are and investing in that community and that culture, you can tell. These guys are smart. These agents are smart. There's no bullshitting with the Phoenix Suns. They're telling you the truth. They're telling you how they're going to do it. And then they put their money where their mouth is. And by the way, they're just going to probably renovate every single practice facility you can possible, make a better experience for the fans, make great jerseys, and just check every single box possible. It doesn't equal a championship. Nothing is guaranteed. And there's a chance that we get into the season and some of the things that we think are guaranteed don't happen. That happens every year with so many different teams. But this team, this franchise has shown they will address a need. They will do that.
And make corrections. And
learn from their mistakes.
There you
Who
go.
said they didn't need a point guard 2 months
mistakes.
ago? James Jones said they don't need a point guard 2 months ago. Guess what? His ass just brought in two of the best that you could sign.
He didn't say they didn't need one. If you listen closely, he said, which one am I going to go get in the way that we are, right?
How about two of them?
And he said, oh, I already got two names circled. Look, James Jones takes a lot of shit, and it's even happened on this program.
Yes.
But I got to give him credit. Now that he has an owner that's willing to do what it takes, he's helping make smart moves, right? Yeah. He's helping facilitate these deals. He's got a team with him in terms of a front office that can get it done because they're willing to spend on a front office. James Jones deserves credit here, all right? And I think that gets lost in the sauce. And as Sponko in the chat said, this roster is perfectly built for Bud. So I think you also going to give Mike Budenholzer some love here too, because he came in and I think he pretty much knew what he wanted in terms of what he was going to need to succeed. And he probably went to the front office or as part of their negotiation said, if this is going to work, this is what I need. Go do the grocery shopping. I'll let you decide which guy that is, but I need these to make this work. And they found them with what limited restrictions they had. And you know what I need right now?
Go ahead.
Because I have no limited restrictions. That beer fridge down the hall we have in the studio, I need a damn Four Peaks because I need a celebratory beer that the Suns pulled off a heist today. I also need some water here. Hold on.
Go ahead.
It's hot in that studio.
No,
people don't know this.
I'm joking. I'm joking. I scared Flex away too.
Yeah, he scared Flex away. Also, people don't understand. Espo is in a place with no air conditioning right now. No air conditioning right now. That's how much he loves you guys. He's braving the heat.
And what is better than when you're slightly dehydrated than a good beer, right? Our friends at Four Peaks have you covered, though. They have some of the best beer in the Valley, and you know it's good because it's right here from your hometown. They brewed over in Tempe at the 8th Street Pub. I love it, and you can get some, too. You can follow them on social at Four Peaks Brew or at Four Peaks Pub to get the latest from Arizona's premier craft brewery. And you know what I think I'm going to go grab? A sweet Bad Birdie Juicy Golden Ale, the collab between Four Peaks and Bad Birdie. It's super drinkable, and right now, as I'm dehydrated, I'll take anything that's super drinkable and the perfect companion at the tea box or in your fridge. Visit fourpeaks.com/locator to find all your favorite beers and events. Check out our at Four Peaks Brew or at Four Peaks Pub again to keep up with the latest. Must be 21 or older to drink Four Peaks, and please enjoy responsibly. And Tyson, or to Tyus, I'm welcome Tyson Chandler back. Tyus Jones, I know you took a little bit of a cut to come here, right? But our friends over at Desert Financial Credit Union want your business, and they're even willing to give you $200 to help make up for some of that money you left on the table just by signing up for a free checking account. And let me let you know what they're all about, Tyus. They've been here for 84 years. They are spectacular. They love Arizona like you'll come to love the Valley. They have taken care of everything and anything their customers have needed in a financial sense for decades. And if you are looking for a loan or a checking account or some investment options, whatever it is, they can help you out. So look to Desert Financial for, like I said, checking, savings, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and oh, so much more. Join a credit union that's committed to giving back to the community and sharing success with its members. And like I mentioned, they got $200 for you. When you sign up for a free checking account online, get $200 in bonuses and get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. Let's take a look at a few of the super chats before we get out of here. Already pushing an hour on this emergency pod brought to you by Indeed. Let's pull up a couple of those super chats if you don't mind.
I got you. All right. Brian says Suns went super couponing and stole a point guard.
Yeah.
It's a good way to put it. They got a great deal. This was when Joe Mama was getting referenced. Let's not be mean, Chad. I'm not going to read it. But listen, everybody's entitled to their opinion, okay? I'm going to put it up. Thank you for the $2, Lionel, but we're not going to be mean to anybody in chat. But also followed up another $4.99. Thank you. Says Jones is legit, not a big name because he was a backup and was with the Wizards recently, but the numbers don't lie and he's been consistent. That is very true. And then we got our guy, Psycho Blue. Basketball Cthulhu got bored in basketball purgatory, so he used his magic to con the Wizards again. Best farm team in the league for raising finals level talent for teams actually trying to win. Interesting.
Hey, okay. I love that. Do we have another super chat?
We do. It's we got a couple more, but touch on that, Flex. Touch on that. Go ahead.
I want to touch on this. So no. This is great. I love what the Wizards have been doing for us lately. I do. Shout out to the Wizards. But
you're lucky I don't have the Shamit thing to pop up right now, because that thing would have been on the screen if I was in studio.
Please don't. And you know I got the shades right here, so don't do that. But listen. No, real talk. This is where I get a little frustrated because if we'd have woke up this morning, and this is everybody in the chat, listen to what I'm saying, okay? Listen to what I'm saying. We'd have woke up this morning and heard the Denver Nuggets just got Tyus Jones on the minimum. What are we saying?
Oh, we're freaking out. How'd they do it? Why'd they do it? Oh my God, they're going to be so much better, and we're stuck in purgatory.
Right. OKC, right? Some of these, just imagine if one of these teams, the Timberwolves, just any of these teams would have gotten Tyus Jones. It'd be a whole different conversation. But the Phoenix Suns got Tyus Jones. And there's a reason why the Phoenix Suns got Tyus Jones, because you got Brad Beal, you got Devin Booker, you got Kevin Durant. At the end of the day, those guys are enticing enough for good basketball players to want to say, I'll take my chances with that. And that's why we go back to Matt Ishbia, and that's why we say, thank you for taking the swings. Thank you for taking the chances. Thank you for paying $400 million in your on your books. More now. Correct. more now. So, I'm still a little bit blown by the fact that they just pulled this off. And I'm actually blown by the fact that there's a lot of people that don't think this is a good move.
Can I give you guys the one factor that I've brought this up before, and this makes me even more excited now? For the last 9 years, the eventual NBA champion has had a former Wizard on their roster.
Hey,
what?
How did you come up with that one?
Where'd Tyus play last year?
The Wizards.
Washington.
Yeah. Well, guess what? We got 2 former Wizards. Double it down. Better odds even now. Make it 10 straight years.
3. Monte Morris, Bradley Beal, Tyus Jones.
Monte
and Brad played together.
That's
done.
Right.
Put it down. I went
3
to the
championships.
I went to the Bet365 app to see if the odds had changed. They hadn't yet. They're still at plus 30. I put $40 down on that for an NBA championship, because you know what? Why not make $1,200?
Yeah, I'm about to throw some bread down. Hey, Eric Espo, real quick, quick question. So if you were coaching the Golden State Warriors, with the prime Golden State Warriors, the offensive machine that they were, I just want a quick answer. Okay, would you prefer your coach to be Steve Kerr or Tom Thibodeau?
Steve Kerr.
Kerr.
Okay, so if you're coaching the best defensive team in the league, and you're built around defense, would you want your coach to be Tom Thibodeau or Steve Kerr?
Tom Thibodeau.
Okay. You see the common sense there?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Espo said it this entire last season, referencing the Terry Porter saga, where you got the wrong type of head coach, and then as soon as you brought somebody in,
bang,
melted the system around the players, they took off.
Yeah, they went to the Western Conference Finals the next year with Alvin freaking Gentry, and that was a watered down version of the 7 seconds or less Suns. Right?
Bang.
You don't give somebody a Maserati who doesn't know how to drive stick. It makes no sense. And that's what they did with Frank Vogel.
Thank you, Espo. That's the point I'm trying to make. And that's, again, hindsight. That's a correction. That's the team sitting down, the owners, the front office, all the evaluators sitting down saying, that was a bit of a mistake. And I'll give them a little bit of a pass here. I'm going to say one thing that I don't think I'll give them a little bit of a pass here. When they hired Frank Vogel, DeAndre Ayton was still part of this basketball team. Okay. True. Let's just keep that in mind.
He talked about being excited to work with DeAndre Ayton.
That's right. DeAndre Ayton is a guy that made a lot of sense for Frank Vogel to have his hands on based on what he did in the past. And then circumstances became what they became. It became untenable. And it was like, you know what? We're probably going to be better off making this move now, because if you don't do it now, you're probably never, ever going to recoup the value that you need to get in some way, shape, or form. So they made the deal. And I think that was the first domino to what would become a very confusing and disappointing year, right? That's we're not dealing with that right now. We're sitting down saying, check every box that we needed. They've done this year. If the Suns would have signed Tyus Jones on day one, July 1, 12/01, breaking news, the Suns got Tyus Jones and didn't do very much else other than what they drafted, I would have given the Suns an A. But they still got Monty too. And they got Mason Plumlee too. And they brought back Josh Okogie. And they brought back Royce O'Neal. Come on, man. They're playing chess. They did a fantastic job, man.
So continuing with some super chats. Sorry, I just want to get a couple out of the way here. Last two. Tim from Phoenix, $9.99. Thank you, Tim. Said, hope you guys are having a good summer. Can't wait for the takeovers next season. Question: does this make it likely that they are looking at what they can get back for Nurk and or Allen? Flex, you have anything to say on that?
No. I believe they're set. I believe they're set. Okay. I got no reason to believe that anything else. There may be a little thing around the edges, but for the most part, and I sent my text messages and I got some reply. I think they're set. I think they like where they're at right now.
Espo, is that the right move?
I mean, I think for now,
for now. I
think what it does is it gives you flexibility where if there's something that doesn't seem quite right that you want to tinker with, you now have trade flexibility coming up once you get into the season and closer to the trade deadline. But I don't think there's any imminent plans to make any additional moves. I think you're pretty well set. Like we talked about, solid bench now. Starting rotation makes more sense, and you have options if you need to.
Okay, last one. Espo, are you able to read on the screen here? Are you able to read that?
I humbly request Sir Espo to proclaim the Phoenix Suns have two of the best pure point guards in the NBA. Suck it, lack of point guards on the team. Suck it, overworking our stars. Suck it, turnovers.
Thank you, Brooks Sunwalker, for that $20 super chat. Wow, appreciate that. That's all the super chats there, guys.
All right, well then let's get out of here because I'm sure it's 97 degrees in this studio with burning lights facing on me as well. Thank you. We will be back on Monday at our regular 3 p.m. slot to talk more about this, the impact of it, how it shifts the odds, and everything else that comes with Tyus Jones being a Phoenix Sun. You can follow Eric at, I don't remember, is it just at Eric Ruby with
That's my name, ERIKRUBY.
Okay, and you can follow Flex at his name at Flex from Jersey. You can follow the show at PHNX_Suns, and you can follow me at Espo. And remember, you can never have too many point guards, especially ones that have amazing assist-to-turnover ratios. Ahoy, hoy!
We all silly like the mayor.